The reason I'm Catholic is because of the Eucharist. I've been Catholic my whole life. My family is Catholic. But even then, we didn't really participate. We didn't go to Mass every week. We didn't do all the things that maybe most Catholics do or believers do. And I went through most of my life not really entering into my faith. But there came a time when I was in high school that I really started to reevaluate and pray about what I believed. And the Eucharist was the thing that drew me to Christ. It was the thing that drew me back to God. Because once I started to understand or to go deep to the mystery of the Eucharist, I began to believe in Christ's love for me. Because once I began to understand that Christ was truly present there, that he was giving of his whole self to me, that's when that love became real.
I can remember the first time I really experienced Eucharist in a way that was personal to me. It was a small nighttime Mass that we did during the weekdays at 10 p.m. and we would all gather around the altar, and the way they do it when there's a few people, you all hold the Eucharist and then you all consume it together. And as I was holding it there for the first time, I really felt like it wasn't reminiscing about the Last Supper. It wasn't Jesus died for us 2,000 years ago. He was there today. That's what Eucharist is supposed to mean to you. It's supposed to be Jesus being a part of you in that moment.
To believe in the Eucharist means to believe that Jesus has chosen to be with us in a very profound way through the Eucharist. That's the promise he made to his disciples, that if they did as he did at the Last Supper, that he would remain with them. And he chose something as simple as bread and wine to show us that he really wants to be intimately a part of us, as intimate as food becomes when we eat it. And we frequently say that we are what we eat, that what we eat becomes part of who we are. And I think Jesus knew that and had that in mind when he gave us the Eucharist.
The Eucharist is the only thing that I would say, because it is Christ, that will ever allow all of mankind to come together in love. There's nothing else that transforms, that breaks down all the barriers that we put up. And so in a very real way, when we're transformed by Christ in the Eucharist, when we receive Christ, we become Christ. Not only do I become Christ, but my neighbor becomes Christ, my friend becomes Christ, my mother and my father become Christ, and even those people who don't partake in the Eucharist necessarily are closer to me and to everyone else because you're able to see Christ in them. And so when I take communion and the rest of this Catholic community takes communion, it's a transforming thing. It allows us to not see ourselves as individuals, but as one body in Christ.
So their rootedness in the world left them no room to understand God's ability to transform humanity, to transform everything that we know into something so completely new, so completely different, so completely beautiful. You know, this happens to all of us. We get so rooted in the world that we really have trouble seeing beyond it. We spend so much time making sure that our life here is comfortable that we fail to realize that there's more than what we see around us. there's a whole life that is to come. And even the culture that we belong to, it really grounds us in the conviction that no one is more important than me. So we tend to live focused on making sure that we feel good, that we feel secure, that we feel happy, forgetting all the while the deeper and the more lasting peace and joy that comes from self-sacrifice, that comes from being people of service.